Komidori Wang Shiyu history. Chang Temple is more to people. He was young. One day during the day in bed, suddenly gloomy weather, the sky thunder, a large number of animals than cats, came to lying on his body, did not depart from his body, after a child was fine, and the animals come out. He saw, not a cat, this fear, separated by a wall called his brother. Brother listened to the matter and said, "Brother, the future will be able to win the high official. This is the fox to avoid the catastrophe struck by lightning." Later, really very young comprehensive examination of the examination, when a magistrate and transferred to the court when the royal history. Wang Shi had a son, named Genpo, especially silly. 16 years old are not men and women, so there is no family willing to marry his house. Wang Shi very worried. I happen to have a woman let a young girl came to the royal initiative to request his house and marry. Wang Shi looked at the girl smiled. I really like fairies. He was pleased to ask what this woman surnamed. Self-made woman surnamed Yu, Komidori daughter, 16 years old. Wang Shi and her dowry to discuss how many. Yu, she said, this child eat bran, have enough to eat with me, once come to your house, live in high-rise buildings, dictating the maid servant, refined grains and feed fat. She was satisfied. I can rest assured, are able to bargain as you like vegetables. Mrs. Wang Shi is also very pleased to entertain them enthusiastically. Yu Shi Xiao-cu to let Wang Shi and his wife Genpo, said, "This is your father, mother, be careful to serve him too busy. Go back, come back over 35 days. Wang censor ordered the servants to send the horse Shi. Yu Shi said the home is not far from here, not worth the trouble, so go away. Komidori, go see my mother, not at all sad nostalgia, like embroidery on the turn to take in the dressing tray. Mrs. Wang also like her." A few days later, her mother did not come. Komidori home where she cannot tell silly way, so he picks up another one house, for the wedding couple. Relatives heard that his family picked a poor family's daughter, a wife, laugh at them. When they saw Komidori, marveled at her beauty, not a gossip. Komidori very smart and will see her in-laws face to act. Wang Shi couple favorite daughter more than common sense, but heart is still uneasy, afraid Komidori find it too little boy, but Komidori good mood every day, not at all despise, but Komidori loved to make Genpo play. She sewed a cloth ball, play funny Genpo laugh. She was wearing a small leather boots, kicked the ball out to Shi Xiao-cu far, let Genpo ran to pick up, tired Genpo and maid were sweating. One day, the son of former king censor chants after room, suddenly the ball fly over, hit him in the face. Komidori and maid were all scared to hide away, and only Genpo also ran leaping catch this ball of cloth. Wang Shi was furious, picked up stones to cast his son, then Genpo was lying on the floor crying. Wang censor and told his wife, Mrs. Komidori, to blame, just head down. Komidori smile, with your fingers cow's hayo bed. Mrs. gone. Komidori still naive to bounce, the powder coated in Genpo face, painted flower face. Mrs. saw, more angry, shouting to the Komidori cursed, Xiao-cu on against the side playing with tape on clothes, do not fear nor speak. Mrs. helpless, had to pick up the sticks. Genpo crying, Komidori that scared face downcast, kneeling on the ground begging for mercy. Mrs. dunks in a rage, threw the stick away. Komidori smiled and pulled Genpo into the house, give him a shot to the dust from his clothes, wiped away tears, pain rubbing sticks places, dates and chestnuts to get him to eat. Genpo was no longer crying tears while revealing smile. Komidori closed courtyard, will Genpo dressed as a king, one would then dress up as desert people, while he put on colorful costumes, too gird too thin, given them dancing, play Yuji and pheasant tail plug in the hair, plays Haojin Pippa impact, knocking to ring, causing house laughter, so almost all day. Wang Shi a slow-witted son and daughter cannot bear too much blame, even if heard these things, and no longer interfere. And Wang Shi with Lane lived a remonstrance to the king, and his family separated by more than a dozen families, but not always, and two people. At this triennial assessment do court officials, To admonish the king, jealous king censor in charge of Henan Road monitoring power, I want to slander him. Wang learned to censor remonstrance conspiracy, mind very worried, cannot think of a way to deal with. One night, Wang Shi sleep early, Komidori put on robes, dress up as a prime minister, cut some white silk stick to the chin as a beard, letting the two maid wearing black clothes dressed up as followers, secretly ride the horse out of the stables, joking going to visit one adults. King went on horseback to admonish the door, he whipped two attendants, said loudly, I am going to visit Shi one adults. Where is the call on the king to admonish adults? Turned his horse, came back to the door. The doorman also mistakenly think is really the prime minister came, raced to the king of the censor. Wang Shi hurried out of bed, go out to meet. A look at the original in-law joke. Wang Shi furious, MRS, said they're looking for my problems, but around the house scandal door to tell people that my calamity far. Mrs. particularly angry daughter went to the house, the big Komidori curse a pass. Komidori only Han Xiao, a word not differentiate. Mrs. want to hit her, not there break it. She has no home. Wang Shi couple upset complain, did not sleep all night. At that time, the prime minister who is the prominent, his appearance, clothing, followers, and Komidori disguised no difference, also admonished the king to the prime minister mistakenly think is really coming. He repeatedly sent to the censor in front of the king, inquired until midnight, guests have not seen it, doubt the prime minister and the king censor discuss anything in the dark. The next morning in court, the king saw the censor, asked last night the prime minister come to your house yet? Wang thought he was deliberately censor irony, I am sorry to answer twice, the sound is not great. Wang to admonish increasingly suspect, he dropped the idea of slander Wang Shi, and Wang also took the initiative from the censor to make contacts. Wang Shi know the truth, secretly pleased, privately asked his wife, daughter persuaded altered past behavior, Komidori smile agreed. After a year, the official prime minister was free. He had a private letter to the king to censor, but was mistakenly given to the king to remonstrance. Wang extremely pleased to admonish, to care and a good relationship with people to censor Wang Shi's home to borrow 1,000 silver. Wang Shi refused. Wang Jian will personally came to the king's censor home. Wang Shi looking dress, wearing good to meet, but could not find, admonished the king to wait a long time. Angry king censor of neglect, we must turn back. Suddenly saw Genpo wearing robes, wearing a crown, a woman was pushed out from the door. He was shocked. Then he smiled and stroked, took off his robe, crown away. Wang Shi hurried out, but the guests had gone. He heard what had happened. My aunt were too scared, crying, said, this is our family troubles. I'll be headed not far off. Take a stick with Wang Shi and his wife to come here, son. Has Komidori they want to know. Shut the door and gave them cursed. Wang Shi rage, brought the axe to their door. Komidori smile in the house of her in-laws, said do not be angry, father has a daughter in. Saber saws axe to bear a daughter. Father would never hurt the parents to do so. It is to kill the daughter to witness it. King censor this only lived hand. Wang remonstrance to go home, and sure enough on the memorial to the emperor, the king came to light censor up to no good, and that there are robes, the crown to prove it. Emperor was taken aback, a check evidence. The crown was originally sorghum to do. It is a broken yellow cloth robes for Ashiki. Emperor false accusations to admonish the king very angry. Shangdian and Zuanu and Feng, a look at a silly smile and said this looks like the day the child can do. Took the king admonished to go to the judicial interrogation. Wang to admonish the king and denounced the censor families with magician. Law department harsh interrogation. King censor maid servant of the house, not being to say, only a mad wife and a little boy, laughing and playing all day. Neighbors did not say otherwise. Cases finalized. Wang Jian was sentenced to exile in Yunnan. Since then, Wang Shi Xiao-cu was not an ordinary woman, because her mother has not come. I guess she was not human. Let his wife go cross-examination. Komidori just laugh, do not say a word. A further questioning, Komidori is muzzled, said, baby Jade Emperor's daughter, her mother does not know. Soon, Wang was promoted to censor Chang Temple. 50 years old, often to no grandchildren to worry about. Komidori to the royal for 3 years, and every night Genpo sleeping separately, as if the relationship had not happened. Mrs. Genpo people carried away bed, and asked Genpo Komidori slept. A few days later, Yuan Fang told the mother said borrowed bed, how not also Komidori legs every night on my belly, the weight of my breath, the same old pinched my thigh. Maid Pufu heard all laugh. Mrs. Scold beat him and let him go. One day, Komidori in the house to take a bath. Genpo met, and she should wash together. Laughing Komidori stop him, let him wait a little longer. Komidori after washing, and bathing in the bowl add the hot water, the Genpo close pants off, together with the maid to help Genpo into the bowl. Genpo feel hot and stuffy, shouted to come out. Komidori not let the pot covered with a quilt. Soon, no sound, opened it, Genpo has no gas. Komidori calm smile, not at all alarmed. Genpo onto the bed, wiped away the water, and covered with a quilt. Mrs. heard about it, came crying, shouted why crazy girl killed my son. Komidori slightly smiled and said, this little boy, it is better not more angry lady, with a small head against Kui, who has advised maid and pulled. When is noisy, a maid to the report, said Sun Hum. Mrs. stopped crying, stroking his son, saw him panting, covered with sweat soaked the bedding. After a mealtime, Genpo sweat only, and suddenly opened his eyes and looked around. All around the house looked human again, did not recognize like, said I now recall past things, like a dream. This is how it's going on, he said if his wife look like nonsense, special surprise, let him to see his father, several tests, it really is not silly. The whole family was overjoyed, highly prized in general. In the evening, the bed and back to its place, but also put bedding pillow to watch him. Genpo into his chambers after the maid were all sent away, morning and saw the bed empty in there, like a dummy. Since then, the madness silly sick son's wife was gone, the couple feeling particularly good, inseparable. After more than a year, Wang Shiyu by the party's impeachment remonstrance king to be free of government, but also by a small punishment. The original home of Guangxi Zhongcheng donated a yuping, the value of a daughter, ready to give the ruling of a high official. Komidori loved only yuping, enjoy in your hands, accidentally dropped and broke the hearts of very guilty, quickly told her in-laws. Her in-laws because of a bad feeling lost officer, was furious to hear the matter, the intersection of the two cursed. Komidori anger came out, and go back to Yuan Fang said in your home, save your family more than a yuping, why not save a little face to me? How many of you speak the truth? I am not human, because my mother was a catastrophe struck by lightning, get your father's shelter, and because we both have 5 years of fate, so before I come to your house to repay the kindness, the completion of our long-cherished wish, I was a reproach, even more than a human hair, so I leave you away, because 5 years of loving has not expired. Now how can I stay any longer? It, leech out up peak, Genpo chase, has disappeared. Wang Shi minds something missing, too late to regret. Genpo back to the house to see Komidori powder used, worn shoes, crying a with you cute, sleep cannot sleep, no appetite for food, weight loss every day. Wang Shi very worried, eager for his son to marry a housewife continue to lift Genpo troubles, but Genpo not, he only invite highly skilled artist painted like a leech. The night before the ritual prayer like this kind of life lasted for nearly 2 years. One day, by chance elsewhere Genpo back, then the sky bright moon, outside the village there is a king's center home garden pavilion, Genpo horseback passing from the wall, which has heard the sound of laughter, he reined in the horse and let the reins pulled groom, standing in the saddle looked into the house, I saw 2 women in the inside game, because the moon is hidden by clouds, look less clear, just listen to a green dress woman said you should put this girl out of the house to go. A woman in red, said, you in my home garden pavilion, but expel who the green woman said I do not know shy girl, not a good wife, being driven out, we have to take its own industry it is considered red woman said, that's not my husband's boss a girl better than you Genpo hear voices, exactly like Komidori, hurried call, woman in green while leaving aside and said first to not argue with you, your man here. Soon, red woman came, it really is Komidori. Genpo delighted. Komidori landed him on the wall, then put his next, said, 2 years gone, you lean into a bone with Genpo took Komidori hand could not help tears, detailing the acacia. Komidori said I know, but I see people discredited at home today in sister games, and meet with you, which shows our fate is the day set in. Genpo request Komidori go home, not Komidori promised request to stay in the garden, Komidori agreed. Genpo the servants quickly ran back to his wife report. Mrs. Surprise stood up, went to the garden to sit on the chair, unlock into the garden, Komidori quickly ran to greet, salute and worship. Mrs. grabbed her arm and said with tears before his or her own fault, almost ashamed, lady said, if you cannot keep the pain a little hatchet, please go back with me, for my old age it is also a comforting little chewy determined not to go back. Mrs. considered desolate garden outside the village deserted, would like to send a few people to serve. Komidori said I want to see other people, only 2 former maid at my side day and night to serve me, I will never forget them, another servant to see an old door again, do not need the other according to Mrs. Komidori whole words do. Others said only Genpo recuperate in the garden, with the supply of some food stuff every day. Komidori often advised Genpo a wife and marries another woman, Genpo disagree. After more than a year, Komidori's sound and original appearance gradually become different, to come up with original portrait of a contrast, just a different person. Genpo very strange, Komidori said, now look at me, you beautiful than ever, Yuan Fang said it is still very beautiful, but not as good as it seems than before. Komidori said, I guess I'm getting old, said Yuan Fang 20-year-old, how old it is so fast. Komidori smiled and burnt portraits, Genpo to the rescue, it was too late. One day, Xiao-cu Yuan Fang said once upon a time at home, Dad said I cannot have children now died with her in-laws or older, you just have a son, I do not have children, am afraid to lay your family line you marry a wife at home, sooner or later serve her in-laws, you can contact me and her there on both sides, but also no inconvenience. Genpo think Komidori put it also makes sense, and on Chang Taishi's daughter a pro, wedding is approaching, Komidori new wife to do new clothes and shoes, have them delivered to her mother there, and other bride over the door, looks manners, and Komidori are exactly right, Genpo amazed, to see the garden pavilion, Komidori has disappeared, asked the maid took out a red handkerchief, said, lady temporarily went back home, leaving this to the son to start a handkerchief see, there are jade ornaments, Genpo no Komidori will not come back, so it made home. Genpo although the moment cannot forget Komidori fortunately, the new wife looked just like to see Komidori same. Genpo then realized Chang family and marry, Komidori know in advance, so it looks to become the first girl home Chang as a way to comfort Acacia future situation. Iso's history, said a fox, for being inadvertently applied to the royal kindness, but also thinking repayin by Wang Fu regeneration Komidori, but because breaking a vase and speechless scolding, character how Loa, Genpo reunite and break up yet, find a good substitute and calmly away, this brotherhood known fairy, more profound than secular people,